Spotify, and online at rocklandnews.com. Thanks for joining us today. Here are your hosts, Tom Osa and Mike Kluger.
Okay, we got a lot to cover today. We are on the air with Mike Kohut from the town of Haverstraw. Mike, you might have a
village of Haverstraw.
Yeah. So before we get into it, just wanted to give everybody an update about how everything's going on the side of the snowpocalypse 2026. We've got reports from the various town supervisors and the mayors across Rockland County that everything is going nice and smoothly. Seems to be minimal disruption, and hopefully everybody out there was able to shovel their way out or pay someone to shovel their way out or whatever. But it's back to the usual. Hopefully everybody is safe. And of course, productive and happy is the tradition. I'm your host, Tom Osa, and we have on the wire with us Mayor Mike Kohut.
You're listening
From the town of Haverstraw, the village of Haverstraw. How you doing, Mayor Mike?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Okay, good. Just a side note, it sounds like there's a little bit of feedback on your end. I don't know if that's the mic or something like that.
It's probably, sometimes it happens with my computer for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll say less, and I'm going to turn it over to you because there's no echo when you're speaking. So first of all, how did everything go yesterday with digging out of the snow? That's the first order of business.
Well, it was, it's never easy when there's that much snow in that short of a period of time. So we were out for 24 hours basically before we took a break, got the roads, most of the roads back to black. Then we went home and came back out at 2:00 this morning and started cleaning up the downtown business district. So we got Main and New Main Street done by 7 in the morning. Tomorrow morning will be Broadway. And now we're working on the back streets and trying to widen them up and make them passable. So it's a daunting undertaking, particularly after we already had another snow of equal size, 3 weeks ago, and we had just sort of recovered from that. So it hasn't been easy, but my crews are professional, and they do a really good job of keeping things clean.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like I mentioned the last few times that you were on, my favorite story of how you handle things over there with the crews is like, right in front of Village Hall when you do the holidays in Haverstraw and, about to do the tree lighting, and they did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and all of a sudden you'd expect the lights to go on, but they didn't. And from the left-hand side, enter stage left, I saw you like not running, but like, moving very rapidly. And I think within like a half a minute, you're like, oh, it's that wire over there. And everybody just took care of it and the lights went on. So that was like a really cool time that I remember back in the day. You mentioned about, no sleep, which it only took me 2 hours to do mine. I can't imagine what the crew has to handle in a 24-hour period. I mean, afterwards, is there any break time where they can, go home, recharge, and then rinse and repeat? How does that work?
Well, in a storm like this, they don't go home during it. They'll take a break during the middle of the night when it's sort of quiet and there's nobody on the streets. They'll go back home. They'll go back to the DPW building and crash for a few hours, or try to crash for a few hours, 2-3 hours, just to recharge, and then they go back out on the streets after conditions slow down a little bit or change a little bit. But they'll try to get 3 or 4 hours of sleep overnight, and then they come back out and hit it again.
Like almost a more comfortable version of Army cot style. Everybody gets together, have some coffee in the morning, get back out there and do the thing.
Yeah, whatever it takes to give them a couple hours to at least rest, even if they're not easy on sleeping, at least they're resting.
Right. Yeah. Good recharge. That's very cool. And that's what I'm hearing from a lot of the different areas. Like, for instance, Nyack Mayor, he put something out there. Mayor Curley from Suffern, actually got to get in touch with him. We did our birthday party over at his establishment a few years ago. So I wanted to see how everything's going over there. So very cool. Also wanted to get you on the air to find out about how things are going development-wise. There's been a lot of meetings lately to just kind of, I guess, if you will, present the already approved plan in order to bring in some residential development into the village of Haverstraw. So I was at the meeting last week and we got a chance to talk. How's everything going with that?
Well, the Chair Factory project is moving along nicely. We've had some new milestones. So they're finishing up the plans and getting all their approvals. Recently, the state of New York, through the Empire State Development, which is sort of the urban renewal agency for the state, has agreed to take over the project in title, which will allow them to impose a pilot basically on the taxing jurisdictions. And that will allow the developers to move forward and to close on their funding in the May-June timeframe and to start construction, not the buildings yet. We have a lot of site work to do, but will allow them to start site work hopefully by this early summer. There's a lot of shoreline stabilization that has to be done, plus
Right.
other things. There's a few buildings. There's 4 buildings that they've purchased separate from our purchase that have to come down because they'll be building the project into the hillside to keep it out of the floodplain, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're planning on. It will move forward. It will move forward expeditiously once they get going, and it's estimated to be 3 to 4 years for the full build out.
Yeah, that's what I think Ryan Porter was from Impact Collective. That's what he had communicated out that I heard at the meeting, that there was like a 3 to 4 year time frame. Obviously there in a project of that size and magnitude, there's always going to be discoveries during the construction process that might alter things just a tad to make sure that it's built properly and such. Place was packed too. Like there was at least like 40 or 50 people there at least. Saw the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, it was a good meeting. It was a good meeting, and Ryan was able to explain further to people, I think, about the project, what it is and what it isn't, and hopefully what it means to the village during the construction period and thereafter. So.
Mm-hmm. How about the other project, the one that it's a smaller project, but considerable in terms of the number of units? Is it something like 50 or 75 units? That's I got my math wrong on that one.
That's the West Hab project being built between Maple Avenue and West Street on one of our municipal parking lots. And it's 80 units, actually 81 units of affordable housing to serve population between 30% and 80% of median income. And that's under construction. They started that project Christmas week, actually. And despite the cold weather and the snowy weather and everything else, they've been moving along steadily for the past 2 months. They're not out of the ground yet, but they're getting close to finishing up driving their piles. And then they're working on foundations. So hopefully in the next month or two, they're out of the ground and actually going vertical. And that's going to be 4 stories of apartments over top of 2 stories of parking. One of those levels of parking will be to serve the project itself, and the other level of parking will be to serve the residents of the rest of the village, who, since we donated the parking lot to this, we still needed the parking spaces. So we'll get most of our parking back, and then there'll be parking for the project itself.
Got it. I have a question about this. Now, the village of Haverstraw was the recipient of the grant for streetscape. I would say, was it about 5 or 6 years ago now? I forget the exact timeline. But obviously they're separate projects, of course. Did the reception of the streetscape funding, did that help to encourage developers to take a second look at the village of Haverstraw? Because it seems like a lot of things fell into place a bit after that streetscape funding was attained.
Are you speaking about the DRI money, or
DRI? Yeah.
Okay. So the DRI money, yes, that sort of opened other windows for us, because when we received that, and some of the projects that were funded through that, one of the projects was Chair Factory received, or is going to receive, $4 million of that $10 million. because it's an affordable housing project. It also has market rate. It also has what they call workforce housing.
Right.
And there's also some retail. So that fits into all of the bubbles that the governor and the state of New York are looking to work on. Affordability, improving the economics of the downtowns, et cetera. So once they saw that we were serious and when we wanted to put monies into these projects, that's sort of helped us as we applied for other grants and helped the developers as they applied for other grants to make all this happen. So we've now been the recipient of close to $20 million in state grants in the past 3 years, ranging from more aid to the West Hab project, more aid to the Chair Factory project. We're getting $4.5 million to help us expand our community center. We're getting other monies for the fire department. So it's been, as I said, we check a lot of boxes for the state of New York, and they're willing to give us money to help us accomplish things that they agree are important.
Yeah, and workforce development most certainly is one of those pillars that they put out consistently, especially over the last, I'd say 6 to 7, maybe more years. And that seems to be the initiative in these various locations where development is happening. It's focused on the workforce, the drivers of the economy. At least from my
Absolutely.
observation.
Yep. And small business is where it's at. It's always been small business that we all have to rely on, especially in a small community with a business district like ours. We need to encourage things that help build up our small businesses and create new small businesses.
Now, you mentioned also about that there's retail, so that's actually baked into these plans potentially. Do you find, I see that, for instance, town of Clarkstown, and of course the shops at Nanuet was recently purchased. It's now the Nanuet Town Center, and they've been talking about mixed use development, transit oriented. I guess from the perspective of when a grant is created for this, does that make it easier to have retail in proposed in the plans, or is it mainly just about workforce development?
Well, I think I can't speak for everybody else's, but with our particular instance with the Chair Factory, it's a waterfront site. So, and it's at the very end of our business district. So it made sense for us to include some new retail, but we didn't want to overwhelm the business district or take away from the business district. So it's adding some, but we're only talking about 5,700 feet or so, not 100,000 square feet. So you pick and choose, and you do things that complement what you have and not overwhelm it.
Right. Like Walmart is not creating a presence in the village of Haverstraw. It just isn't. So it's a small business footprint, if you will, kind of adds to the and it's bottom line is Haverstraw has waterfront property, so that can't be a bad thing economically.
No, and there's also plans to develop parkland there. We're getting a couple of acres of the property back as parkland and public promenade. So, it's been our goal since Ginsburg Development started back in the early 2000s to get people down to the waterfront, and that's all a public promenade around that site, and it will, via the road network, connect to this site and provide a walking area that will connect all the way over to Bowline Road, basically, so that people can walk a public promenade or streets all along the Hudson River for a couple of miles.
That's great. Yeah, I still do. I mean, not the last year or so, but when I get the chance, I hop on the bike and I do the trail in the backwoods from Haverstraw to Nyack every once in a while. And
yep, that's terrific.
Definitely a great time doing that. Clears the mind, I would say. So, all right. Well, last question I had, and this is actually more related to what you mentioned about the community center. You mentioned that there's going to be some upgrades. Any thoughts on how plans would come about with that? Have there been any ideas? I would personally put in for a ping pong table if I had any feedback on that, just because I grew up on ping pong. But any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, we do have plans. Basically, presently, the community center is sort of L-shaped, with the gymnasium being the long arm of the L. We're going to square that off or rectangle that off. So we're going to gain about, I think it's 8,800 square feet of space over 2 floors. And that will allow us more opportunities for classrooms and meeting rooms and activity rooms, and hopefully not just for the kids, which is largely what we do with the community center, but for seniors to have some space to do things, and also other opportunities for other community groups to utilize the community center, because it's well used, but we're sort of jam-packed in there. So an expansion will be greatly beneficial to everybody. And that works together with new basketball courts that we're putting in alongside of the community center. So it's really going to become much more user and community friendly over the next few years.
That's awesome. Well, sounds like a lot of things are happening in the village of Haverstraw. You got an exciting few years ahead of you, and we're looking forward to checking out how everything happens over the course of time. Mayor Mike Kohut from the village of Haverstraw. Mayor, we appreciate you being on AM Rockland's News this afternoon.
Thanks, Tom. It's always a pleasure. I'm happy to have a conversation at your pleasure.
Yeah, same here, man.
All right.
We want to thank our sponsors.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor Mike Kohut, Village of Haverstraw. We want to thank our sponsors as well, the New York Boulders baseball team. Work Smart New York Business Boot Camp coming in April 2026. Check it out at worksmartny.com. We also have Yabu Fence Company, Dana Pest Control, Easy Temp for all your ice machine and commercial refrigeration repairs. Kobe Sushi. Get $15 off of your order by mentioning Rockland's News. And they have jazz music on Wednesdays and Saturday nights. KobeNewsCity.com. Susan Bova Caldwell Banker Realtor. Whole Shot Bagels, 99 Signs, FZ Perfection, and the Nanuet Town Center. I'm Tom Osa. We'll catch you next time. Take care.